back to my channel. This is Tita Lavinia of Titas of Pageantry, and for this episode, I will be discussing the trend involving frontrunners at the Nationals who didn't quite make it. So please make sure you stick around. Please subscribe to the channel as well as hit that bell notification button for your weekly pageant picks. Hey guys, so before I start this episode, I just want to check up on you. I hope that you are all doing okay. I do know that a lot of Filipinos are still struggling. As you know, we were hit by two devastating typhoons, Rolly and Ulysses. The devastation and the destruction is still something that we see in the news, that we see on social media. So what we did on Titas of Pageantry is that we launched a donation drive called Piso Ko Tulong Ko. And I'm really very happy that some of my subscribers here at the Tita Lavinia channel shared the drive as well as sent in some funds. So just to give you a bit of an idea on what happened to the funds that you donated, we were able to collect more than 90,000 pesos. So we decided to donate or turn over half of it to the Confederation of Ilocano Association, Samahang Ilocano, and Rotary Makati Rufino, Rotary Club Makati Rufino. So as of yesterday, we turned over more than 50,000 to these organizations, and they will be purchasing supplies that will benefit 500 families in Cagayan, Tuguegarao, and Isabela. Now, the other half, just to let you know, because Tita B and I are both animal lovers, she has a lot of dogs, I have a lot of cats, so we decided to distribute the funds to 5 or 6 animal shelters who either have the capacity to send in more help, or shelters who are really devastated and destroyed during the typhoon. So yeah, if you want to monitor where your money or where your donations are going, please continue to check us out at Titas of Pageantry. We have updates there on a regular basis. So I know that we've been very busy. We've been very busy monitoring the news and also checking on what's happening around. But I do know that for some pageant fans, we kept one eye out for Rabia Mateo's successful homecoming in Iloilo. And then the other thing that also kept us busy during this week was Kat's appearance at Miss Universe Colombia. Now, she did have a lot of charity work for Smile Train, but she was able to balance that with the glam side of also promoting Filipino culture through her wardrobe at the Miss Universe Colombia appearances. So as of yesterday morning, which was evening in Colombia, she made waves as a guest judge in a fabulous Leo Almodal creation. But yeah, maybe more on that next time. But the very reason I am doing this episode for you is because a lot of the pageant netizens, or a lot of the pageant fans, noticed a trend involving a lot of the frontrunners from the important pageant countries. Now, for this year, everybody had to be creative. A lot of the countries appointed representatives for Miss Universe. Others went virtual, while other countries like the Philippines and Colombia and Thailand decided to stage pageants. I think Thailand had the most normal pageant staging, but for the Philippines and Colombia, it had to be on a smaller scale. Also for South Africa, it had to be on a smaller scale, but nevertheless, really bongga. So yeah, the common trend was that it isn't quite as predictable as it used to be when it comes to trying to really outdo each other and who could make the most accurate hot picks. Now, this is the reason why we don't do hot picks at Titas of Pageantry, because yeah, we're just trying to be really very careful, because I do know that one day it will become so unpredictable that it's just gonna be really embarrassing to keep on pushing some ladies and knowing that they won't be able to do really well during the finals. Now, I'm gonna start with Thailand, because Thailand, although they did crown someone that we predicted would eventually go and snag that crown, It was interesting because we had someone who came from nowhere. And I'm talking about Emmy Sawyer. Now, to begin with, Emmy started her Miss Universe Thailand journey with hardly any pageant clout at all. The only thing we knew about her was that she was a former contestant in a show called The Face Thailand, which was more of a modeling competition rather than a pageant, and that she had Filipino trainers under RL's Angels. So the good thing about her was that she didn't really have any baggage going into Miss Universe Thailand, and she ended up blowing everybody away during her screening performance during that Q&A session. She went viral because of that. And because of that performance, it cemented her as one of the strongest speakers in the Miss Universe Thailand 2020 batch. So everybody looked out for her during the pre-pageant activities. Now, her performances, apart from the speaking presentations, was a little bit on the wobbly side, but it didn't matter because it gave pageant netizens more of a recall on who Emmy really was. So when the pageant night finally happened and the girls were trimmed down, she actually made the first cut to top 10. Now, it seemed easy breezy for her to go into top 5 because, as I said, Miss Universe Thailand is a little bit on the predictable side. And the ones who were really strong were really strong. I mean, you didn't have to really convince yourself that Punika was strong or that Vina was strong and that Amanda was strong. So everybody knew that Emmy would actually penetrate the top 5 and maybe, spin things around and maybe snag the crown away from the current heavy favorites. But alas, that did not happen because Emmy only finished top 10. Now, why didn't Emmy go on further? Now, there are so many speculations, of course. We actually don't know because they have judges there. Maybe the judging criteria changed, or maybe the scoring had something to do with it. But based on observations from comments as well as personal observations, was that she wasn't really quite as consistent. Now, most of the time you'd probably hear she did not get to shine on the finals night. Now, I know it sounds a little on the negative side, but there is some truth to that. Sometimes, whether you're a seasoned pageant girl or maybe you're someone really new, the proof is really on the pageant night. If you don't get to really outshine everyone, you're not gonna make it. Now, I'm not saying that she did not do a good job. She did a great job during swimsuit, during the evening gown part, but maybe she was outdone by the others. Like the Venus and the Punikas. So I would attribute Emmy's non-inclusion to maybe inconsistency, but yeah, you guys let me know what you think. So a few weeks after that, we had our Miss Universe Philippines, and you know what happened there. Of course, I'm talking about the non-inclusion of heavy favorite Alaiza Malinao. Now, Alaiza ticked all of the boxes from day one. Now, I do know that she had one misstep, and that was that nervous energy that was so evident during the preliminary Q&A session that everybody got to see. But that didn't matter because that propelled her at least to the top 16 in the finals. Now, from the finals, everybody can agree that she did so well in all of the segments. Maybe the one thing that was a little questionable for everyone was the opening statement, wherein she delivered her statement in her native language, in Bisaya. Now, it is polarizing because for a lot of people, they felt that they had more connection with Alaiza by bringing forth her own language, but others also felt that it limited Alaiza with what she could actually do as a Miss Universe. Now, it is really up to you guys if that was the thing that made people not really convince themselves that Alaiza could represent the Philippines, but swimsuit as well as evening gown, I'm pretty sure she aced that. I think everybody, whether you're a fan of Alaiza or not, everybody thought that scores alone for swimsuit and evening gown would be enough to get Alaiza that top 5 slot. But alas, that also did not happen. It was a more severe cut from top 16 to top 5. No Alaiza. Now, I do know that there have been speculations of cheating, speculations of favoritism, and honestly, it's not even speculation levels anymore. Some of the contestants have decided to speak up without really divulging a lot of information. But I can assure you this, there was no cheating that happened. Maybe there were some technicalities in terms of scoring and other personalities not wanting to budge and sticking to their scores only because the scores to propel Alaiza to top 5 to the lady who actually got into top 5 was just really very minuscule. So they did not, well, it seemed that they didn't want to make a lot of changes with that because it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Alaiza would have been at the top 6 spot anyway. So it is heartbreaking, but in a way, it started the trend and people started to get really nervous after Alaiza did not make it to top 5 because people started thinking maybe it could happen to the other girls, and alas, it continued happening. So right after Miss Universe Philippines, we went on to Miss South Africa. Now, Miss South Africa, they still distribute crowns for Miss World as well as supranational. So you still get, at least 3 chances of winning. And one of the heavy favorites at Miss South Africa was Karishma Ramdev. Now, if you remember, Karishma went head-to-head with Tamarind Green in 2018. And she did so well in 2018, finishing top 5. Now, she is someone really notable because during the release of the headshots, Karishma had one of the prettiest headshots during their batch. It was even compared to Pia because she seemed like a duskier version of Pia. So when she didn't make it in 2018 and pursued her medical studies, she came back in 2020 as a doctor this time. And everybody started to check up on her. But I do remember a conversation with one of my pageant friends. I did say, I'm a little busy with Miss Universe Philippines. What's happening in Miss Universe, in Miss South Africa? And so my friend discussed, heavy favorites and what they were doing in South Africa. And I was like, where's Karishma? Because I can't feel her. And my friend said, yeah, she isn't quite as impactful this year as she was in 2018, and maybe that was one of the reasons why she stayed in top 10 and didn't advance further. Now, she had the recognition, she had the name, she had the support of a lot of pageant fans who knew her, but she did not get to advance because, as you know, guys, when you take a break, maybe a year or 2, and then come back, you just really don't know if you still have that same winning aura or if you still have that same edge that you did maybe a year or 2 years back. Now, it is difficult in South Africa because they work with only a small pool of ladies, and these ladies are very accomplished. A lot of them are very good speakers. So you can't just, go back and say, I'm still as fabulous as I was 2 or maybe a year ago, 2 years, 3 years ago. So I don't know what happened to her. it is a little insensitive as well to bring up proportions, to bring up weight, as well as to bring up, I don't know, maybe a change in fitness regimen. But yeah, coming from me, because I know you guys will be really, yeah. When it comes to discussions on weight, I know you're not gonna get me off the hook with that. But I'm trying to approach this in a manner that's, yeah, I'm just trying to approach this in a very pageanty manner. Like sometimes when you're at your winning form, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you have no idea on how you would measure up, years down the line. I felt that she wasn't in her best pageant form, that she had, better chances to represent South Africa maybe, yeah, 2 years ago. But I don't know if that will even matter, because the Miss South Africa winner is voluptuous herself. So I don't know if that was even something that they had to consider. But in terms of looking more prepared, I felt that she was more prepared in 2018. And then one of the biggest heartbreaks in beauty pageantry these days was the non-inclusion of heavy favorite from New York, Andreia Gibau at Miss USA. Now, she attacked the Miss USA competition like it was Miss Universe, from arrival to that stunning swimsuit performance at prelims. Now, everything went a little downhill, not just for Andrea, but for everyone else during the evening gown portion, because how can you stand out when you had like recycled gowns and gowns that you've seen like 10 million times? So it was a little unfortunate for Andrea, but she wasn't in an ugly gown. It was just unremarkable to begin with. But you can't just take her out of the list because she wore that gown. It wasn't really that hideous. But what I am saying is that maybe in her case, she was too much. Now, if Emmy was more on the inconsistent side, Andrea was more on the consistent side, but it was maybe too polished for the taste, at least this year. Because if you notice this year, a lot of the dark horses were able to do more. A lot of the dark horses were able to be more successful because, I don't know, maybe the judging panel or maybe the organizations, they want women, or they want ladies who are just a little rough around the edges, who could use a little more polishing. And Andrea was just probably way too polished. Now, if we're gonna factor in maybe a little bit of politics, we can't discount that, because Andrea represented Miss Earth in 2017, and she finished top 10 there. So maybe they didn't want someone who was too seasoned, someone who just seemed too fierce. I don't know. But yeah, she did seem like a whole, the complete package. So I understand the heartbreak. So now we move on to the equally heartbreaking fate of Juliana Franco. Now, Juliana Franco, her appearance at Miss Universe Colombia was so welcome. Everybody was really happy that she decided to cross over after her successful stint at Miss Earth. As you know, guys, she finished Miss Earth Water in 2017. That's like first runner-up to Karen Ibasco, and everybody cheered for her because she did so well there. And by the time she screened at Miss Universe Colombia, there were two of them, Miss Earth alums. Her and Valeria Ayos, who had to drop from the competition due to COVID. But the thing was, Juliana was a heavy favorite from the get-go because she was able to transform herself. She looked more sultry. her body was on point, her communication skills was on point, pasarela was on point. Even her presentation during the pre-pageant activities of Miss Universe Colombia, I mean, you could just pretty much hand her the crown. But I do know that there have been some controversy surrounding Miss Universe Colombia, not not very different from the controversies that we experience here at Miss Universe Philippines. But I am not in the liberty to really discuss these controversies because I cannot find a reliable translation on what is actually happening there. But I do know that it seemed really unfortunate because if the rumors are true that the results were rigged and that all of the heavy favorites were kept at the distance so that the supposed winner could eventually move on and get that crown on her head, then it is rather unfortunate because I could not find any fault in Juliana's presentation. Oh, maybe I could, but I feel that this fault is so minor. She at least needed to be at the top 5 because everybody knows that once she reaches top 5 and does her thing with Q&A, she could actually snag that crown. But the thing with Juliana was that her gown presentation didn't really spark joy. I mean, she just walked from point A to point B in a gown that wasn't very razzle-dazzle. I mean, it was iridescent, it had some shine, some sparkle, but it wasn't something that I think I'd wear if I want to win Miss Universe Colombia. It was a little on the subtle side now, but that's really very minor considering that Juliana is someone of a higher caliber in terms of a pageant girl. So what's our takeaway with these trends of really notable girls not being close enough to actually get the chance to win the crown? I feel that this has something to do with also keeping everybody, not just the contestants, but the admins and the fans, keeping everybody on their toes. This is a clear message to the pageant community that sash factor nowadays, it's not as important. It's also not as important to talk about business these days. I mean, naturally we would talk about, organizations would probably make this candidate win because she would rake in more money for the organization. Well, apparently this doesn't hold true anymore because they can just crown anybody, and it makes it more exciting because it pushes countries to focus more on training. It pushes more girls to be more competitive and not to rest on their laurels. But it is a bit on the disappointing side because apart from trying to rally for the girls who have all the goods to become a good representative and a really good queen, that whether they trained hard or not trained at all, we don't know. It's all a gamble. So it keeps us on our toes because now we know that a sleeper country or a sleeper candidate, not even a dark horse, someone totally obscure, can actually win this crown. But it, again, at least levels the playing field. It makes us more hungry. It makes us more driven to excel. And if this is something that is happening in the pageant community, if this is going to be the trend at Miss Universe, then yeah, let's bring it on, because I think that they are also tearing down barriers such as age, weight, height. We have, a diverse set of girls, at least for Miss Universe this year. We have someone petite and young as Rupia. We have someone really statuesque as the new Miss Colombia. We have someone voluptuous. We have someone who can speak English, someone who cannot speak English at all. But it's really nice for me, at least, to know that we don't have to conform to standards, set standards in pageantry. So I don't know with you guys, if you feel that this is something you're up for, if you like the surprises that organizations have been whipping up by removing or discarding or getting in more of the dark horse and the sleepers and not really giving chances to the front runners to shine, then yeah, please let me know. But this is very interesting in the world of pageantry, at least for this year. I like that we didn't have to just wait for 2 or 3 hours for the coronation. We just have to really rally and see who they crown next, because it's unpredictable. So guys, if you like this unpredictability, please let me know. And knowing that, you know, everything else is unpredictable, maybe at least at Miss Universe, please let me know who you wish to win at next year's Miss Universe edition. So thank you and goodbye.